We've been working on school choice and defending it in court for decades.
Jordan Seculo told us that hundreds of families had contacted the ACLJ about suing school closure districts.
Coming to the education system was not a new move for the American Center for Law and Justice, for the ACLJ. We've been doing it since our founding.
School choice has been an issue that we have keyed in on, and we've argued all the way to the Supreme Court for decades, not just one decade, but decades. And now we're starting to see real results when it comes to school choice.
What we learned very quickly from many parents who were reaching out to the ACLJ is that their child had been left behind.
I'm very interested in creating a foundation of education for those folks in the middle income arena, as well as kids living in poverty, kids like myself who perhaps live in the wrong zip code, going to underperforming schools. I'd love to give parents the tool of choice. When parents have choice in education, I think their kids have a better chance of success.
More than 1,900 families contacted the ACLJ during the pandemic looking for help to get educational options for their students. And more than anything, we just wanted to be an advocate for those families, for those students. We wanted to find real solutions for real problems, for real students that were facing adversity.
And so we were faced with a lot of different issues where people are contacting us regarding their ability to let their kids go to school.
This is an administration coming in saying, we want to shut down charter schools. We want to only have public school options and then private schools for those who can afford it, which most of their kids go to.
The ACLJ occupies a very special space. There are lots of other places that do lots of important work for America, but the ACLJ has taken up a lane which is irreplaceable.
The More Than Ever campaign is all about reminding Americans that now we need the ACLJ more than ever.
Tonight, U.S. cases of coronavirus more than doubling, with 2 new cases in Southern California and 1 in Maricopa County, Arizona. The CDC confirming all 5 patients in the U.S. had traveled to Wuhan.
But what happened with the pandemic, obviously everything changed. So you had the need for alternative school situations, which involved everything from school choice to, during the pandemic, getting special needs of students met by their counties.
There were just scores of students who were left behind during the pandemic. There were countless students that did not thrive in a virtual learning setting, and they did not have the means to select different alternatives, to either hire a tutor or to find an alternative way of learning.
Schools were saying, we're going to go online. But these people didn't have internet at their home, couldn't afford it, didn't have iPads for their kids.
Some parents lacked resources, basic resources, such as internet or computers.
We literally had school children who were sitting on curbs near police cars in order to steal the internet from the police cars so that they could complete their assignments.
Not every student has equal opportunity in the sense that there's a huge digital divide in this country. So if you are in a rural environment or rural school district, in some cases do not have access to rural broadband. It also has significantly hurt our students with special needs and disabilities.
Children with special needs have special rights under the law, and one of the things that they have the right to is an individual education plan. And many of the children in this situation during the pandemic were not having that individual education plan administered. We were able to come alongside families and make sure that school districts found a way to give those children educational options during the pandemic. So I'm very proud of the role that the ACLJ played.
They were trying to pass, what happened was it was this kind of like broad-based, one-size-fits-all approach to education when you had special needs students that had special needs. And the county had the resources to do it. They just weren't forthcoming, and that's why we went aggressively on that issue.
One of the things that we want to impress upon people is the need, especially during this pandemic, to get kids back in school. That's very important for us, is to make sure that children are back in school, provided, of course, that the environment is safe all around.
Should parents have the option to use the tax dollars that are allocated to their child to send them someplace else that is open if they want them in school?
We need to get our schools back open again. We're the most innovative nation in the world. We can do it.
If your school isn't opening, don't accept it. It's your child, it's your money. Why should you pay for a service you're not getting? Reopen schools or give me my school money back.
We know the harm that's being done to everyone, adults and children, from this isolation that so many people have felt, depending on what state or school district you live in. And that's the whole problem with our education system. It shouldn't be about where you live or what neighborhood you're in, about how good of an education your kid gets.
We are not having a problem based simply on resources. We're not having a problem based on zip codes. We are having a problem based on imagination. We're having a problem based on the circumstances that the adults find the kids, not that the kids find themselves. So if we teach to where we want them to go, as opposed to dumbing it down, we'd get high-performing students and high-performing schools in the poor zip codes.
The best way to serve underserved communities, especially minority communities, is allowing for school choice, so the parents have real options as to where to send their kids to school.
We have a lot of people, there's a lot of ACLJ supporters who get nervous when they hear school choice. They say, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that the public school I like, does that mean they're all gonna go away? I'm a teacher, does that mean my pay is gonna be decreased? And so they get nervous. So we believe that there has to be a lot of education done on school choice.
Keep in mind, during the pandemic, a significant number of schools were closed entirely. This put a disproportionate burden, particularly on lower middle class families and poor families who often lacked resources.
Had it not been for education, I would not be sitting here today. I think of education as the gateway to the American dream. I want to open that gate wider for kids living in poverty, wider for those folks in middle income America who are sandwiched. Think about it. The folks who are taking care of their parents and their kids, they need access to a better education system that sometimes they cannot afford. Why not give more parents choice? That would lead to revolution.
This is a way you could actually take care of people who are suffering and are in some of the lower income areas and could really use school choice.
As we emerge from the pandemic, parents are realizing just what their students have been being taught. And honestly, over the pandemic, there were countless school districts that took that opportunity to revamp the curriculum that they are teaching to their students. And so I think now more than ever, parents are waking up to the reality that they need to be at the forefront of making educational decisions.
People really aren't there yet. You'd think they would be, but we're always surprised when we do our radio show, which helps us kind of get a sense of where people are. They get very nervous. And that plays right into the hands of the teachers' unions, who are then indoctrinating your kids with whatever they want.
The influence of teachers' unions that at times seem to care more about their own agendas than the safety and the education of our children in the school systems.
I am calling upon members of both parties to pass an education bill that funds school choice for disadvantaged youth, including millions of African American and Latino children.
The Department of Education under President Trump was in favor of not only school choice, but a variety of choices within that school choice.
These families should be free to choose the public, private, charter, magnet, religious, or home school that is right for them.
So you had magnet schools, charter schools. There was just multiple educational opportunities. I think Betsy DeVos did a great job.
Joe Biden is 100% against school choice.
If I'm president, Betsy DeVos's whole notion from charter schools to this are gone.
So that's a huge challenge we face pre and post pandemic.
I think our efforts have to be ramped up exponentially during this administration.
The idea of school choice and the ability to have options for parents was something that the Trump administration understood well and put those thoughts and policies into concrete action so that there actually could be movement on those issues. We're already seeing a regress. As soon as you take away local control, as soon as you federalize everything, which is what's happening under the current administration, things change. And education is best served by the local community.
School choice is winning across the country. Parents, students, even school districts are realizing that giving parents more options is the way to accomplish this.
I think the pandemic has changed a lot of minds. In fact, I know it's changed a lot of minds on school choice. People are fed up.
We have been fighting for school choice. We've been fighting for religious liberty within public schools. And we have been fighting against attacks on private religious schools.
With the changes that are taking place in this new administration, the ACLJ today is needed now more than ever. And that's why I am so thrilled to be a small part of this really important organization.
Now more than ever, ACLJ is prepared to go to court if necessary to do the things necessary to get your children properly educated. We're not afraid of courtrooms, we're not afraid of judges, and we're not afraid of juries.
It's no longer about debating with a school administrator or the Department of Education. It is about saying, let's just give the American people a choice. We know public schools will improve. Some parents will choose private schools. Some will choose religious schools. Some will choose schools that have no religious affiliation. That's what we're fighting for at the ACLJ, but we believe that education is key.
So now what you're going to have is, as we come out of this pandemic into the new school years, what's it going to be like for the students? What's it going to be like for the teachers? How are the schools going to operate? Are they going to fall into their old habits? And the answer to that is not if we can help it. And that's why we really believe that the ACLJ on the education front is needed now more than ever. We have an opportunity here. We have to seize it.